Hello. Oh, hello, Tapao. If you have not caught up on previous ones, just let me know and I can catch you up on anything you have missed. But like, it has finally successfully transitioned to a point where I kind of am generally liking Rumpel more than I'm disliking him, which I was desperately hoping would happen for this route. Oof. And as usual, we'll listen to the nice opening music. While that plays, I'm gonna fuss with my lighting a little because it feels kind of dark in here. Yes, I will catch you up on from there.
Princess lives in a monochrome world, working from the side through her lonely eyes. It reflects the ocean and stars, but her cry echoes around the simple loss of love in her heart, making this so very
So, Rumpel's former fiance showed up, and Lucette went to talk to Waltz about it, and Waltz suggested that they go ask around town because Lucette was getting like bad vibes. And they heard around town that she had been kicked out by her former fiance for cheating. So Lucette went and kind of followed them when they were in town a bit, and like there was a bit where she was gonna there was a choice of confront them or not confront them, and the correct answer was actually to not confront them. But then Rumpel noticed her, and so a confrontation ended up happening anyway. Hi, Ice Stormy. I'm catching Tapao up on the last couple chapters. Pretty quickly. So it turns out that like Rumpel actually remembered about Bria, his former fiance, cheating on him, and was totally done with the relationship and he knew he didn't feel anything for her anymore, but he was still meeting with her because he was trying to get his journals back. And so Lucette, most recently, and then some other stuff happened with, of course, because he's a doctor, there was some cute hurt comfort of Lucette got sick and Rumpel took care of her, and it was very nice and very sweet. And we also got to see that Rumpel cares a lot about taking care of people and helping the sick, and like regardless of whether they can pay him or not, which is nice. We did also learn that he's still got a little bit of a problem where he is continuing to be casually flirtatious with women. Though when Lucette expressed that it was something that made it clear that it was kind of upsetting her, he was like, alright, you know what? For you, I'll stop. And I really respected that, but it really feels like he never actually learned the lesson that I was hoping he would learn, which is he made several statements that made it very clear that he was very sure that all of the women were on the very same page as him, where, oh, this is just for funsies, and none of us are taking this seriously, right? Oof, so he never really learned his lesson about, or has not to date learned his lesson about checking in with people and making sure everyone's on the same page instead of making assumptions that everyone feels exactly the same way that you do. You know, that kind of thing. I suspect that still feels likely that it'll come up as an issue before the end of the route, but in the short term, in fact, we've already seen women being super jealous of Lucette, and Rumpel noticed this, and he's like, they must be jealous of your grace and dignity, and it's like, no, I think they're quite jealous of something else here. So I anticipate that that's still going to be an issue, where there's going to be women who are pissy that he's kind of choosing Lucette over them. But, you know, we'll see. However, things that are actually making Rumpel likable. He says he started actually telling, like, earnest, sincere compliments that are, like, really sweet, and, like, he's been saying, like, a lot of, like, genuine nice things to Lucette that feel like things that she needed to hear about how, like, she's strong, and ice suits her because of the beauty and delicacy of ice. in a way that like helps her sort of reclaim the thing that everybody is like, you know, everyone calls her Ice Princess as an insult, and it kind of helps her reclaim that a little. And some other nice stuff, and like he also helped a sick dude and refused payment, and that was like, and Lucette was like confused, and he's like, he was offering to pay you, and I was confused too, but he's like, nah, that dude is poor. He was offering to pay me, but I know he couldn't afford it, so I refused to take payment. We've also had a lot come up about how stubborn Rumpel is, so I'm sure that stubbornness is going to come back to bite him, but I don't think helping people, like, even if they can't pay, is going to come back to bite him, because that was clearly designed to be presented as a really positive trait of his, and it did make me, my appreciation of Rumpel as a character went up several levels. Yes, exactly. Like, that is the biggest thing that made him really redeemable to me, was like, oh man, he believes in universal healthcare. And also that was Lucette's first good deed. Like, he was really, really stressed because him and Annis had been treating this guy, and the guy was really sick, and like he kind of was bad enough that he needed an expensive medicine, and like Annis and Rumpel had pooled all their money together, and there still wasn't enough, and Rumpel was getting really stressed about it. So Lucette, after having gone to check in on them and hearing this, takes their money, adds her money to it, and goes and buys the medicine for them without even like saying anything. And so naturally that was a good deed, because she did it out of no other reason than to see someone else be better off for it. And I mean, it was more for Rumpel than for the dude, but still, it was, you know, it was a kind thing she did out of the goodness of her heart, so of course it was a good deed. Has she gotten the second one yet? Ice Starmie? I cannot remember. I think she's in the process of what I think is maybe going to be her second, if I recall correctly. Most recently, she, they talked about Rumpel's curse a little more, and he's like, yeah, I think I really need those journals that Bria, the fiance, still has in order to get the rest of my memories back. And so, and he'd been, like, writing to Bria to try and ask, and Bria's not being very cooperative because she's... Oof, yeah, Bria is kind of a hot mess. Like, she was dissatisfied with something in their relationship and decided that Rumpel wouldn't understand even if she tried to explain it to him, so she decided that the right answer was to cheat on him. To, like... I'm assuming it's because she was pissy that he always kept flirting with other girls, and rather than try to explain that to him, she was like, oh, I'll cheat on him and then he'll understand how it feels. And Rumpel instead was just, like, really hurt, and he's like, I don't understand why you did this, and I also don't understand why you didn't tell me yourself, why I had to confront you about it, and I'm just really hurt and feel very hurt and betrayed that you do this. And like, was just sad about it. And Bria was like, I think wanted him to be angry, not sad. And it was weird, and I don't like Bria at all. But anyway, so Lucette has now taken upon herself, she noticed this letter Rumpel was writing to Bria, got Bria's address from that, and wrote a letter herself. And so I think in this chapter she's planning to go meet with Bria to try and get the journals for Rumpel. So, yes. So I think, yeah, Bria's terrible. Bria is a problem. Like, I mean, it's a, like, their relation, it sounds like maybe there were, like, she was unhappy in the relationship, but I'm just like, and, you know, so I'm sure there were things Rumpel was doing wrong too, but, like, you know how adults deal with that kind of, with, like, being unhappy in a relationship by talking to each other and trying to explain why they're unhappy? Yeah, Bria just sort of skipped right over that part. Oh, that makes sense. Right, the first good deed is always the one that takes the most time to accomplish. That makes sense, because you don't want to you want to get the pacing of this, like, that makes sense for the pacing of the story to me. Alright, so anyway. I feel like that is a fairly thorough recap of the important points. Oh, and there's also started to be rumors out of the palace that, you know, the super asshole guy, Alcaster, who did the coup in the previous run, and Mithros, the really sus witch guy. So where we had Mithros was the main problem in Rod's route, and Alcaster was the main problem in Karna's route. In this, so far, Lucette has just heard rumors that Mithros and Alcaster are fighting a lot. So. Oh, thank you for shouting out, Captain Kirita to Pow. Alright, so, let us pick back up. And of course, as usual, to Pow, feel free, if I missed anything or anything is confusing, feel free to ask me. I will, keep an eye out for questions. Alright, so. Chapter 8, Chevalier. Today I am outside by myself. I think if Parfait or Delora knew, they would do worse than scold me. I shuffle uncomfortably as I sit at the little cafe Bria told me to wait for her at. A part of me is already convinced that she will not come. Lucette, thinking to herself. When I wrote her that letter asking for Rumpel's journals, and she responded so easily, I was a little suspicious, but... Out loud. This is really the only chance I have. Bria. The only chance you'll have at what? Oh, fair enough, to Pow. Lucette, shocked. Bria appears in front of me, not looking altogether unpleased, but still not smiling. Lucette. Nothing. Thinking to herself. I do not like her, but I will... Okay, I said the nothing a little too harshly. She probably said nothing. Lucette, thinking to herself. I do not like her, but I will have to play nice if I want to get Rumpel's journals back. Bria. Silence. Lucette. Thank you for meeting me out here. Bria takes a seat in front of me, her expression still flat. Bria. You asked me in your letter why I was refusing to speak to Rumpel, and then you told me you wanted to meet with me to find out why. You want the journals too, don't you? She reaches into a bag and pulls out a few journals that I assume are Rumpel's. Lucette, thinking to herself. So she does have them. Bria. I know in your eyes I must seem the villain, but I'm not the only one at fault in this relationship. Look, I believe you, Bria. I believe that there were problems on both sides. I just think that the way you chose to handle the problems made you much more in the wrong than him. Bria. Years ago, when I met Rumpel, he was, as he is now. Flirtatious, charming, over the top. And yet his compliments still made my heart sore. His compliments may be shallow, but Rumpel is far from it. I pined after him for years. He was learning medicine, and I was studying to take over my mother's sewing shop. In the first years that I knew him, Rumpel always complimented my work, even though it was nothing special. He insisted we do trade-offs. When we started dating, he would offer me flowers and trinkets, and in exchange I would sew him some article of clothing. I can see he's still wearing the scarf that I made him. Lucette, thinking to herself. That scarf was from Bria? Bria. We fell in love. Rumpel became a changed man, more serious. He became a doctor, and I opened up a shop. We were supposed to have a fairy tale ending, but... Her expression falls again as she looks absently down at the table. Bria. We saw in each other ideals that didn't exist. Love can be shallow, or it can be deep. I felt our love was deep, but in truth, I only ever knew the very surface of Rumpel. Lucette. The surface? Bria. I saw his kindness, his charm, and his drive to do what was right. But then, as time went on, I also saw what that meant. The world is a place where only the strong survive. People are kind, but they will take advantage of those who are too caring. Lucette, shocked. Lucette, thinking to herself, those sound like Mother's words. I shudder as I think about Mother's pessimism, the same kind that lies in me. Oh yeah, that was another thing to Pow. Parfait and Delora actually finally just told Lucette without any other prompting. Also, we got a genuine apology for Delora for how she handled things, which I, and I really appreciate it, and I wish was in every room. Also, I'm getting bad vibes from Bria here, because when I say bad vibes, I'm pretty sure she's gonna be pissy that he so often would heal people without taking money, and if that's actually one of her big issues with him, then, that seems like a her problem. And I mean, Lucette is not wrong. The fact that Lucette immediately heard that and was like, oh, that is like the same pessimism as my mother. It's like, you wonder if Bria is the witch who cursed him? Maybe. I mean, fair. It's a valid theory. Anyway, I shudder as I think about Mother's pessimism, the same kind that lies in me. It is a realistic way of looking at the world, but it is also so dismal and cloudy that it is impossible to see any light within it. Bria. Rumpel helped a lot of people. Many of them were wonderful people, and I was always happy to see him do so much. But then, he started putting other people above himself. And, okay, this is fair. This is a legitimate complaint. He started putting other people above himself, and because we lived together, that meant me as well. Lucette. Silence. Bria. Alright. Maybe, I don't know, I'll comment on this once I hear the rest of Bria's story, because I'm back to not sympathizing totally. Bria. Maybe it sounds petty to you, but no woman wants to live in poverty. I look at her skeptically. In the back of my mind, I remember the convenience of luxury, of so much money. I then recall the feeling of living poor on the streets and flinch. Bria. We had a house, and we had a reputation, but Rumpel refused money most of the time. He helped lots of poor people, but he also dried out our wallets. And whenever I brought it up to him, he would smile, as if that would just get rid of all of our problems. He made a name for himself as a doctor who helped the poor for minimal money, sometimes for free. And even when I told him we needed more money, he put other people first. He was so selfless that he became selfish. Lucette, thinking to herself. And I told him before that he should have accepted money, that he needed it. So selfless, he became selfish. Bria. I had to go behind his back and find payment. What I was making wasn't enough. So I went to find his patients and tried to ask for payment. I became almost like a beggar. I get bad vibes from that. Sorry. I said I would wait until Bria finished talking, but I'm just like, okay, I get that she was stressed because their finances were going into the red. I get that she felt like Rumpel wasn't hearing her. And I get that she felt like she needed to go another route. However, I'm deeply, deeply uncomfortable with the fact that she went behind his back to go talk to the patients that he treated for free. Like, it makes me uncomfortable, the way she chose to handle it. And I mean, obviously, it also then sounds like she did cheat on him with, like, Mr. Richie McRicherson and was like, this is how I'll get money. I'll just, like, get a rich side piece. And it's like, also not the best solution. But, like, I get why she was frustrated, and I get, like, you know, Rumpel should probably be accepting more money than he was. Like, I think, like, because, I mean, one of the things I was thinking is, oh yeah, she's totally a hot mess. Like, I really respect that Rumpel wants to give treatment to poor people who can't afford payment. However, what that means is that he should also make sure that he is treating people who can pay him, and he is accepting money from those people, because that's how he gets the money to keep treating the people that are poor that need it. So, yeah, like, it does sound like maybe Rumpel needs to learn a little more balance there. Like, you know, like when the dude who he knew the dude that he treated earlier in the story was poor, and so he wouldn't accept any money, but, like, there are ways around that, right? Like, he could be like, you know, dude is offering him money, he could be like, alright, I'll take half that. So yeah, no, maybe that is something that Rumpel needs to learn. Like, it's okay. It's okay to take a little bit of money. And I mean, I also think, like I said, yeah, fundraising's a valid idea. You know, I bet if he asked around, like, I absolutely feel like, you know, if she went, instead of beggaring herself to specific patients, like, that's absolutely a, hey, anyone in the city want to start up a fund that people pay towards for everyone to have free healthcare? I bet there would be some people who'd be willing to, you know, or even if... Yeah, there are options. The point being, there are options. I see where Bria's coming from, that Rumpel was... If their Rumpel was sincerely letting their finances go really into the red, that's a problem. And if he wasn't hearing when she was trying to say something to him, that's a problem. But it seems like all of her follow-up to that problem was, like, really ill-advised, is what I'm getting so far. So yeah, Bria... Oh, gosh. Bria. So I went to find his patients and tried to ask for payment. I became almost like a beggar. Can you imagine my humiliation? Yeah, I'm sorry, I just don't have a ton of sympathy for Bria because I think she could have found other ways and she didn't. Anyway. I have a little sympathy for Bria, but not a lot, because I think her situation is worth sympathy, but I think the way she chose to deal with it is not, if that makes sense. Lucette, thinking to herself, Rumpel put his patience before Bria. Bria, I was convinced he didn't love me, and my love dwindled for him. Our relationship became strained. Bria goes on to explain the events that happened between her and the nobleman. He was one of Rumpel's patients, and when she went to him to ask for the money he'd originally offered, the two of them... Yeah, see, okay, here is again, yes, alright, fair enough. Rumpel should have accepted payment from the frickin' nobleman. He was one of Rumpel's patients, and when she went to ask him for the money he had originally offered, the two of them became intimate. But it was short-lived, and when the noble left her behind, Bria had to deal with a soured relationship. Bria, I wanted to make it up to Rumpel. I thought I could salvage this relationship, maybe even start over and teach him what was right, but that is not my place. Respect. Okay. I appreciate that Bria was like, hit the realization where she's like, that's not my place. Because I was about to say, I got bad vibes from her being like, I will teach him what's right. And it's like, no, that's not your place. Yeah, okay, Starmie. What you said about Rumpel needing to learn balance between altruism and self-care, that's the point? That's exactly the point. Yeah, totally. Okay, I can totally get behind that. Like, there is... Like, I think it's, like I said, it's something I really like about Rumpel, that he wants to help people who can't afford care, regardless of if they pay him or not. Like, I think that's a great, noble, goal. Like, not goal, a noble instinct, I suppose. And I think that's a great thing for him to do, and he should keep, like, treating people who can't pay him the full amount. However, absolutely he needs to learn balance, and, like, the way, like, actually taking money from the people who can comfortably afford it to then go and use that money to get, like, medicines for the people who can't. Like, the dude he was stressing over not being able to afford medicine for. Like, that is a balance that Rumpel desperately needs to learn, it seems. But, like, Bria was clearly not the person he was gonna learn that with. Because she was not approaching it right either. She sighs deeply and then gestures at me. Bria. I share blame in all of this too, but so does Rumpel. That's why I've decided to let all of this go. Whatever he does now, you'll have to deal with it. Because you're his partner, right? Bria hands me the bag of journals. Lucette, shocked. Bria. Don't look so surprised. You came here for these, not to listen to me. I thought on it last night. I have no reason to keep them around when they'll just continue making me bitter. I'll have to rely on myself for a while, but that's fine. Sometimes it's easier to keep to yourself than to trust others. Good for her! Alright, I take back, like, you know what, my criticisms of how she handled the relationship stand, but, like, honestly, like, I am good for her. I think this is great. Like, it sounds like she is learned some lessons and is moving on with her life and is going to go forward stronger for it. I am super here for, like, I made mistakes but I learned from them and I'm going to do better, right? Like, everyone has the capacity for change, and I like when media reflects that. She moves to stand up, but I surprise myself by reaching out to grab her hand. Bria, shocked. Lucette. Bria. Bria. I don't need your pity. Lucette. I thought the same thing. Bria. What? Lucette. I still think the same thing. It is so much easier to close the world off. It is so much easier to trust no one but yourself, but it should also be a balance. That is what Rumpel has taught me. And I want to teach him how to have balance too. Bria. You? You're falling for his kindness the same way I did. You fell in love with him, even though you told yourself he was shallow and unrealistic. Lucette, shocked. My heart thumps once loudly in my chest. Lucette, thinking to herself. Love? Bria. I can read it right off your face. I know how it feels too, but don't get wrapped up in an ideal, little girl. That is my warning. If you can help him, actually help him, then you're meant to be together. But otherwise, trusting Rumpel might only break your heart. Lucette. I am not a little girl. I know how to be realistic. My words trail off as I look at her helplessly. Bria surprises me by speaking up quietly. Bria. Thank you for listening to me. She pulls her hand away and slowly smiles at me. It is the first honest smile I have seen on her face. I feel something warm at my chest, and then a bright light emanates from my necklace. Lucette, shocked. I like that. It wasn't just her going to talk to Bria for the journals. It was also her having, hearing Bria out and having, a respectful conversation with her, it feels like. So kind of the combination of those things makes total sense for Lucette getting her second good deed. Lucette, thinking to herself, a good deed? For listening to Bria, or... I glance down at the bag of journals, then down at my necklace. I think both, honestly. I think either one by itself might not, the fact that she didn't get it until after, she had the heartfelt conversation with Bria, and, listened to Bria's venting, basically. That is of itself a good thing that she did, and it was also really good of her to go out on a limb to get the journals for Rumpel, and combination, extra good deed. If either of those had not been enough, the two of them combined is clearly what was needed. I touch the pendant. The new piece brings a brief smile to my lips. Lucette, thinking to herself, I have 2 good deeds now. Only one more and I can break my curse. Bria. Magic? Is this another fairy tale curse? Lucette. Yes. Bria. Your name was Lucette, wasn't it? Rumpel talked about you fondly. I hope that the both of you break your curses. Good luck. Bria walks away, leaving me by myself in the town square. My mind swirls with everything that she just told me. Sorry, I just want to take one more minute to be like, I love how that conversation turned out. I was not expecting it to go that well. I was really not expecting Bria to be like, yo, I have decided that this is all making me bitter and I'm gonna just give up and move on with my life. Good for her. And I also think that that's really sweet, where she's like, oh, you have a fairy tale curse too. I, best of luck to the both of you. I hope you both are able to break your curses. I just like that. That left, how people say that things leave a bad taste in your mouth? That left a good taste in my mouth. That was a really nice note to end Bria's story on. Lucette, thinking to herself, I still cannot bring myself to like Bria, but I feel more closure now. But now something new plagues my mind. Lucette, thinking to herself, how could I fall in love with someone like Rumpel? The more I say it, the more it becomes a certainty, but rather than fill me with joy, it only makes me more confused. Lucette, thinking to herself, I cannot think about this now. I turn on my heels to head back and bump promptly into a man. Oh shit! Oh man, we're in the 3rd to last chapter, so it makes sense that we're starting to get into some endgame exciting plot shit, but hello, Varg! Man, shocked. Oh, sorry, madam. He smiles at me, then keeps walking. I stare after him, feeling slightly uncomfortable. Lucette, thinking to herself, with the mask and cloak, the man reminded me of a performer. I make my way back to the Marchen with the bag of journals, still struggling to keep my mind from wandering. Every time I think about Rumpel being so close to me, or his kindness towards me, I feel jittery inside. Despite everything that Bria said, I cannot stop these feelings. Lucette thinking to herself, because of course she does. These feelings are annoying. Ice Stormy, I wonder how Bria reacted after Lucette broke her curse and she realized her former fiancé was dating the crown princess now. I'd like to hope that Bria will have moved on enough to be like, probably, my headcanon, assuming Bria has moved on and like is making an effort to move on with her life, is a stab of some kind of like annoyance, jealousy feeling, not quite, or like inadequacy feeling of like, cool, so he moved on with someone like way higher status. So a flash of annoyance, and then just kind of like deep breath and like, you know what? Good for them. It is absolutely my headcanon. Bria has an initial sense of annoyance, but then takes a deep breath and decides to just be happy for them and move on. Lucette thinking to herself, these feelings are annoying. Which of course she does, right? Yet even as I think that, I know it is not the full truth. Lucette, out loud, do I really? I hear the Marchen's door opening and out steps Waltz. The minute he sees me, his eyes widen and he runs towards me. Waltz. Princess, where were you? Lucette. I was running an errand. I hold up the bag, but it does little to ease Waltz's frustration. Waltz. We were all looking for you when we got worried that the witches had found you. Rumpel already went out into town. Lucette. What? I'll go... Waltz. Please, princess, stay inside. His expression softens somewhat until all I can see on his face is worry. Waltz. I'll go get Rumpel. My mood feels completely dashed as I enter the Marchen to whispers both relieved and disappointed. Surprisingly, I get away with just a lecture from Delora and Parfait. It seems as if there is something else on their mind, something that most likely involves the rumors circulating around town. I wait downstairs for a long time for Rumpel, but neither him nor Waltz appear. Lucette thinking to herself, where are they? I retire to my room later as I wait for news. Waltz eventually returns, saying that Rumpel is still out because he had things he wanted to do. I have no idea what that means, but it unsettles me. Lucette, thinking to herself, should I go find him? I think she should, but we'll find out if that was the right answer or not. I stand and stop for a few moments to look at the bag of journals beside my bed. Lucette thinking to herself, and here I was looking forward to giving those journals to him. Fair enough, Ice Stormy. Or maybe she was worried that he would dry the royal fundings too. Oh man, I could totally see that Bria for like months or even like years afterwards just having this niggling worry in the back of her mind of like, I hope our country's finances are all right. I hope that Lucette is not just funding him. But yeah, no, I trust that at least the good ending will have Lucette helping Rumpel to learn balance. I make my way towards the door, turn the knob, and then walk outside. Rumpel. Princess! Before I can even think about saying anything, I feel his warmth envelop me and I freeze. One of his hands moves to the small of my back, where it remains as he smiles down at me. Rumpel. I caught you just in time, my feisty sweet. Did you plan on escaping into the dead of night again? I'm sorry, my feisty sweet is actually kind of cute. Lucette, blushy silence. Yes, it was the right choice. Rumpel, have words abandoned you in wake of my dramatic appearance? I hurriedly pry myself away with a little gasp. A few steps back, I can see him in full, and I notice the bouquet he carries. Rumpel, I'm glad to see you back, Princess. I'm only sorry that I couldn't make it back here any faster. I had a few errands of my own to run in town. Rumpel holds out the bouquet with a glittering smile. Like buying these flowers for the girl that I really like, for instance. I stare down at the beautiful bouquet made up of white lilies, but the appearance slowly leaves my mind as I think of what Rumpel just said. Oh, Lucette! He just said for the girl I really like and handed them to you. Are you really? I mean, okay, she's pretty naive. I'll grant it totally tracks with her personality that she would be dense enough for this thought. Lucette thinking to herself. He bought them for a girl he likes, not for me. My heart feels as if it might be pierced through with something sharp. My breath escapes my throat, but I cannot bring myself to inhale again. Rumpel looks at me in alarm. Rumpel. Lucette! I nudge him out of the way and walk past him. I make my way to the reception area, where I collapse onto one of the couches and sit, staring blankly at the walls. The feelings inside of me are too much all at once. I tell myself they do not make any sense, and that the way I reacted to what Rumpel said was pitiful. And yet I still cannot stop myself from feeling small. Oh, at least I'm sure that Rumpel immediately realized that there was a misunderstanding. I hope. And, oh gosh, I hope Rumpel doesn't sit there and be like, oh no, she's upset because she doesn't actually like me, and was put out that I got flowers for her. Oh, I'm sorry. I will not assume... Fair enough, Ice Starmie. She is less oblivious here than in Rod's Root. Where she didn't even realize he had feelings with her after he kissed her. That's a fair point. Oh gosh. Anyway, so I'm truly hoping this does not develop into a more complex misunderstanding than Lucette misunderstanding the meaning of his words and foolishly assuming the bouquet was not for her. I sink into the couch and close my eyes, willing away the sound of my rapidly beating heart and the tears stinging the edge of my eyes. Lucette thinking to herself, I am not weak. I will not cry. Mother told me... But the thought of Mother makes the tears worse, and soon I am sinking even further into the couch, trying to hide my tear-stained face in my hands. Lucette thinking to herself, Mother, Bria, they both said the same things. They both see the bad in people, and I too have seen the bad in them. When I was on the streets, no one in Angiel showed me kindness. People will never show you kindness unless there is something in it for them. They will never... I feel sudden warmth as arms wrap around me. I recognize this sensation. The warmth, the comfort. It is all so comforting, so soothing. Rumpel. I must be the worst person in the world. To make such a beautiful lady cry is a sin that I must atone for. My body stiffens, but I do not pull away. I listen to the sound of his heartbeat against my ear, and slowly but surely my crying dies away. My eyes are sore by the time I finally manage to still the tears. I feel drowsiness descend upon me like a blanket, but I will not fall asleep. One sec, let me just, mute that. Slowly, I pry myself from the arms holding me. Rumpel. Hello, my love. I messed up again, didn't I? I do not see the bouquet in his hands, but a journal. One of the journals I brought back for him from Bria. Rumpel. You're capable of a lot more good than I am, princess. Just look at this. He reaches out and touches my necklace. I glance down at it. Lucette. Silence. Rumpel. You got my journals back for me. I saw them in your room. And I feel it, that this one, the most recently dated one, is the one that I need to unlock my final memory. I grasp the second incomplete glass slipper around my neck and breathe out softly. Lucette thinking to herself, then this really is from retrieving Rumpel's journals for him. I got a good deed for finally doing something good for Rumpel. Rumpel. Would you allow me to read it with you? He reaches out and gently brushes a tear from my face. Rumpel. You did all of this for me, and you barely know anything about me. Lucette. That makes both of us. Rumpel. If you wouldn't mind, I want to read this entry for you. I want to read out this entry for you. I nod even though I should be shaking my head. Even though I should still be hurt. I cannot stay mad at Rumpel. I mean, it also probably helps that he immediately came in and started treating you like what you are, the girl he actually really likes. He literally called you my love. Like, I know he's flowery, but like, he's being very overt. I'm sure Lucette will pick it up a little, eventually. Rumpel. On this night, I am a poor man. Everything that is precious to me has been stolen away by the witch. Rumpel's voice catches in his throat as he stares at the words. I look over his shoulder at the journal. Lucette, thinking to herself, witch, was he already cursed when he wrote this? Rumpel. But I have no one to blame but myself. Bria told me before that I would suffer for my selflessness, and so now I find myself here. And now... Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Okay, so that very first memory he had where he seemed really dismayed and was treating Lucette like she was sick, which made me think that his previous, romantic partner must have died. I bet Bria was going to die, and the only way to save her was for him to go to a witch who traded it for the curse. Rumpel. And now, because of that same selflessness, Bria is sick and I cannot save her. There is only one thing left to do. I have wronged Bria in so many ways, and now I will give anything it takes to save her. No matter what price the witch asks, I will pay it. I only hope that Bria can forgive me before she leaves. I will write again when the witch has left. I swear that after today I will change for good. I will not ask the witch to perform any more miracles. Oh, I wonder if he had been going to this witch for help with sick people for a while at that point. Rumpel's finger goes to the page where he softly touches a single word. His eyes have the glazed look in them that they have before, and I can tell his memories are snapping back together. Rumpel. For tonight, good night, and may tomorrow be a better morning. I read the last word, a name and a signature. Rumpel reads it aloud slowly. Oh, right, because it's Rumpelstiltskin plot. We're finally going to get his actual name, which is not Rumpel. Oh, that's why the chapter's called Chevalier. Rumpel. Chevalier Dumont. Lucette. Your name is Chevalier? He looks up at me, his eyes forlorn, and then, with sadness, he speaks. Oh, sorry, it's just weird to adjust. Chevalier. That's right. Lucette, thinking to herself. It is so strange. It is just a different name, and yet it seems to change him completely. Yeah, I know, right? Chevalier is a title. I mean, this is a very, like, everyone has very French names, but, like, Chevalier is a weird choice as a name. Chevalier. I remember everything now. I was given the Rumpelstiltskin curse because I sacrificed too much. First, it was the boy, the one we saw in the market. I struck a deal with a woman to save him. A witch. Lucette, thinking to herself. He mentioned striking a deal with a woman, but a witch? Parfait. I don't have the ability to heal. None of us do, except for one particular witch who calls herself the Witch Doctor. Rumpel. Witch Doctor? Parfait. Is something wrong? Rumpel. That name just sounds familiar. Lucette. The Witch Doctor? Rumpel. It's no wonder I recognized the name, but yes, it was her. She promised she could heal the boy, but for a price. I had to give her a family heirloom, my family's stethoscope. Next was a nobleman. I could not help him, and so he lay on his bed dying. The witch visited again, and I gave her what she asked for. Lucette. What did you give her? Rumpel. Chevalier. My engagement ring. Lucette, shocked. Chevalier. Bria found out. She told me she'd never forgive me. And then she chased the nobleman to ask for the money we desperately needed, and... well, you know the rest. Lucette, silence. Thinking to herself, he gave away things that were precious to him, all to help those people. Chevalier. Then Bria got sick. I made one last deal with the witch because I was desperate to save her life. But it wasn't until after she healed Bria that she told me what she wanted. Lucette. She wanted your memories. Chevalier. I don't remember what happened exactly. I think I panicked because I suddenly lost my memories. I ran out into the alleys, bumped my head on something, fell unconscious, and then I woke up here in the tavern, and I had no idea who I was or how I had gotten cursed. Rumpel. Chevalier's expression grows more somber. That was Lucette messing up, not me, just for the record. T'Pau, I know, I'm trying to just ignore that it's not a name. It'll be fine, it'll be fine. Chevalier. I mean, it's totally a fantasy world. It could be a name here. Chevalier. I deserved to be cursed after everything I had done. I was so selfish. An idealist, maybe, but I hurt Bria because I refused to see reality. Chevalier. Silence. I still deserve to be cursed, actually. Lucette. But why? Chevalier. Because I am still selfish. Even having remembered that everything that made me a bad person, I still desire something. Someone I shouldn't have. My heart plummets again as he looks at me. I still want so badly to forge a future with someone I don't deserve, because what am I other than a poor doctor? I'm no knight in shining armor, and I'm no prince. He puts a hand on my cheek and leans closer to me. The distance between us closes in mere seconds. Chevalier. But still, I keep on dreaming, because I... His fingers gently caress my cheek, and suddenly, I know. Thankfully. I know what he is going to say before he even says it. I'm gonna go with she's realized that he's about to tell her that he loves her. Yeah, no, that's fair. Starmy, I agree. The witch doctor was trying... It sounds like the witch doctor was trying to help him, the same way Delora was trying to teach a lesson to Lucette. Debatable if their methods were justified, but, like, yeah, I get it. Like, I see... Like, the witch doctor sounds like she is generally a good witch, and she is trying. And was trying to be like, I'll help you, but you gotta give up. Yeah, no, I can see how she was, like, trying to maybe be like, okay, maybe this one will teach you a lesson. I am gonna go with Lucette cutting him off to say that she loves him, because that seems like it will be the highest potential reduction in misunderstandings. Therefore, Lucette will cut him off to say, I love you. Chevalier. Shocked. But I'm not... Lucette. Whether you are Rumpel or Chevalier, you are the same person. You do not need to be a knight or a prince. Lucette, thinking to herself. He accepted me for who I was, and he still does. Out loud. Mother told me that humans were untrustworthy, but... Chevalier smiles at me as he puts his other hand on my back and pulls me closer. The smile is so genuine and so gentle. The same smile I have grown to love. Aww. So we're in chapter 8 and we've already resolved the romance. I mean, that's nice, but like, gosh, what kind of dramatic excitement from other sources is gonna come up in chapters 9 and 10, I must wonder. Whatever, okay. And also, Starmy confirming the witch doctor is a good witch. At least the developers have confirmed that the witch doctor and the witch who cursed Karma are not corrupted witches. Fair enough. Yeah, and I can see that. Like, Karma definitely deserved his curse. Like, let's be real. I don't think that... I respect the developers being like, no, that witch wasn't cursing him for evil reasons. Or even trying to be malicious in the execution of the curse. She was just being like, wow, you an asshole. You deserve this one. And she was right. Karma deserved that one. But he did. He learned better. Like, it really, that one he did deserve, and it really did help him grow and change. So, respect there. And I think maybe the witch doctor went a little far with Rumpel, but, like, I can also see how she may have just been at her wit's end, being like, I don't know how else to get this through to you. Oh, Pukara! Yes! Well, they're all available on YouTube all the way back from the beginning. I would totally encourage it, because it's a really cool story. So. Also, I mean, Pukara, like, while I would love for you to watch my VODs, I do feel I would be remiss in not pointing out that the game is free on Steam, so you can also play through it yourself if you want. Whatever words I had been meaning to say die in my throat as he leans forward and gently places his lips on mine. I feel more grounded than I have ever felt before, but I also feel like I am flying. I set my hands on his chest and flex my fingers into his shirt. He runs his fingers gently down my face, then down the length of my neck. The kiss feels too short, yet I am still breathless when Chevalier pulls away from me, just enough so that I can see his eyes. Chevalier. I love you, my sweet princess. For your smile, for your laugh, for the way you look out for other people. You're bold and feisty, and you remind me of a firework. You are beautiful, inside and out. The compliment warms my heart in a way that makes me feel like it might be melting. That was really sweet, and I liked it a lot. I didn't want to interrupt before I got past the, like, height of the sweetness, but, like, right, Pukara? It is adorable. He reaches behind him and holds out the bouquet from earlier. Oh, cool, thank you, Ice Starmie. Pukara, right? So cute. Also, right, I think I just said, but yes, thank you, Ice Starmie, and I'm gonna just click that link so I don't lose it. He reaches behind him and holds out the bouquet from earlier. Chevalier. These are for you. You like lilies, don't you? I take the bouquet from him and bring it to my nose. These have always been my favorite flower. Lucette. How did you know? Chevalier grins at me, and it is so similar to his previous smiles that I know he must not have changed. Chevalier. The first time I gave you that white chocolate flower, your eyes lit up. Lucette, thinking to herself. I figured out that Chevalier was perceptive before, but the bouquet in my hands feels all the more meaningful now. That is really sweet, that he, like, saw how excited she was about the chocolate and cottoned on that she probably really liked the flower, the type of flower, so it was coincidence the first time, but the second time he's like, oh, she must like lilies. So when he went to get her a bouquet, he got her a bouquet of lilies. And that is actually very sweet and thoughtful, and I give him points for that one. Chevalier. Princess, I swear that I want to try and change. For you. Okay, thank you. Lucette chimed in before I got the chance to. Lucette, you should do it for yourself, too. Chevalier. Myself? Lucette. You should spoil yourself. You should spoil yourself more, too. You always give to others, but don't take for yourself. Now you know what you did, and you can change things. Chevalier. If Bria can, then so can I. Lucette. Bria? Yeah, I wondered if you might have gone to speak with Bria one last time and then heard from her about what Lucette did. Like, and also probably heard from her a lot of the same stuff that Lucette did in terms of her being like, yeah, I'm moving on. I don't want to be bitter about this anymore. And was like, well, you know, what can I do but rise to the same level? Or not level, but like rise to the same occasion and also improve my flaws. Chevalier. I went and spoke with to her when I was in town today, while I was getting the bouquet as a gift for you. We had a talk about moving on. I didn't understand it fully, and I don't think she did either, but we've both agreed that we should. So, I'm going to change what I can, Princess. And I promise that I'm going to help you break your curse, just as you helped me break mine. Lucette. Blushy blushy. All the good things I have done are for you. Chevalier. Also blushing. That's true. But you've done a lot of other good things too, even if they may not have been big enough to count for your 3 good deeds. It just so happens that your curse is very picky. Lucette thinking to herself. And yeah, that also does make sense, and I think that's why she didn't get the extra piece until she had also not only gotten the journals for him, but also listened to Brina. Lucette thinking to herself. Good things. Even though I am still curt and say more hurtful things than not? I fingered the necklace at my neck and thought, maybe Chevalier is right. Maybe I have changed, and it is a good change. I sit close to Chevalier as the night goes on. He tells me a little bit about his past, and I tell him about mine. About Mother and the palace. The night is not one for advice, just listening. I also love that. Oh gosh, I forgot to turn that off. Don't worry about it. But yeah, no, I like this. I like them just like talking about themselves to each other late into the night and just talking and not like, yeah, like just to listen to each other. Yeah, I like that. That's very sweet. The night is not one for advice, just listening. And I remember what Chevalier told me once, that listening can be just as meaningful as advice, that listening to others can help you understand them. And he was right. Lucette, silence. Annis. Princess, are you okay? Lucette. Remain still silence. Karma. Oh, if it isn't the princess! Are those dark circles under your eye from a romantic night out? Annis, shocked. You were out with someone last night? Lucette. No, they are from being woken up early by Delora to do chores. Delora grins at me from the other side of the bar, but says nothing as she goes back to a conversation with another boarder. Karma. Darling, you are no fun at all. You must tell me what happened last night. Lucette. Last night? Karma. Did you like the bouquet? Lucette. How do you know about the bouquet? Karma. Why? Because it was my suggestion. Lucette, thinking to herself. When Chevalier was asking Karma for advice, it was about me? Oh, and her cute little smile. Oh my gosh, I just can't how cute her smile is. Karma, shocked. Look at the way she smiled, Annis. Last night must have gone well. Annis. I'm confused. What happened last night? Karma. I'm going to get Rumpel to give me all the juicy details when he comes downstairs. Chevalier. That is Chevalier to you. I love that Karma and Rumpel became friends because it was like, okay, they have such similar personalities that either they're going to clash like the Dickens or they're going to get along like gangbusters. And I'm really kind of thrilled that they went both ways with it, that they were super fighty at the beginning, but then eventually just kind of got used to each other and now have become like good friends. Chevalier appears behind Karma, smiling. He seems a lot calmer today than usual. He glances over Karma at me, and we catch each other in a silent gaze. Ah! Seeing his eyes reminds me of last night, which makes me inadvertently flush. Chevalier just winks at me. Karma. Chevalier? What is that? Something you say when a person sneezes? Lucette. No, that's his name. Rumpel, that is. Chevalier broke his curse yesterday. Sorry. No, that's his name. Rumpel, that is Chevalier, broke his curse yesterday. Sorry, I just read that with the wrong tone. You're not wrong, Pukura. There is stunned silence from everyone in the immediate area. Even Delora walks over to us. Delora. What's this about a broken curse? Was it you, Rumpel? Karma. He's going by something that sounds like a fancy cake. Parfait seems to be bursting with excitement. Though she is her usual calm self on the outside, I can tell by the bounce in her step and by the way she raises her voice to make an announcement that she is proud. When everyone has learned that Chevalier has broken his curse, people come to the table offering drinks and congratulations. I like this. I like that the entire, like, you know, the whole point is that everyone's here trying to work on their fairy tale curses, so it's like a big cause for celebration when someone actually breaks theirs. It's like, good going, man. Alright, that's fair, Pukura. Thanks for stopping in. Anyway, sorry. I'm not actually crying or anything. My eyes are just watering. Though I was moved nearly to the point of tears at how cute that previous scene was. Chevalier gets lost in a crowd, mostly of women, but much to my surprise, Chevalier does not flirt back with any of them. And respect, he told Lucette that he'd stop, and he does, so good for him. Good on him. Like, even if he didn't really learn the lesson of how he should maybe have been dealing with it differently, I respect that he's like, I see that it makes the person I really like, that I have real feelings for, uncomfortable, so I'll cut it out. And then, in between our celebrations for Chevalier, the front door to the Marchen opens and Waltz rushes inside. Alright, I imagine this is going to be a tension shift. So we got the nice, lighthearted congratulations. Let's see what drama unfolds next, because there's still 2 chapters left. Waltz. Where are Delora and Lady Parfait? I need to speak to them immediately. Chevalier. Waltz, you're just in time. We're all... Waltz. Something has happened at the palace. The room goes quiet at Waltz's proclamation. A few people shift uneasily in their chairs. Some try to go back to the conversation. Most people do not care what happens in the palace, but they can tell by the tone of Waltz's voice that it is bad. Lucette. What's happened at the palace? Waltz. An uprising. Lucette. Shocked. What? Oh, interesting. Waltz. A coup staged by witches. Witches have taken over the palace. You know, I kind of appreciate that it's a little different in each route. Like, it's a different problem to solve in each route. It's like, so we had, in Rod's route, we had Mithros, or Myth, just being like, okay, I'm gonna just stop Alcaster's plan in its tracks because I've got easy access to Lucette. And we never actually figure out what his actual plans were because, as Starmie has said, Rod's route was by far the most peaceful. And then we had straight up Alcaster pulls off his coup last time, and so I guess this time Myth pulls off his coup. I wonder if we'll go to the palace to rescue the royal family the same way as last time and find, like, the opposite situation where Alcaster had just killed Myth. I wonder if it will be Myth did the same thing to Alcaster. Guess we'll find out. Waltz. A coup staged by witches. Witches have taken over the palace. The information is so sudden it makes me dizzy. I reach out to grab the table and my hand lands on the wood before I can slip. Chevalier. Witches have taken over the palace? An army of them? Waltz. No, only a few. Jurian just strides across the room, quickly followed by Garland. Garland. What's this about witches taking over? We have some of the best knights at the palace. Jurian. There's no way witches could break in under the palace's guard. Waltz. Unless they had someone inside helping them. Yeah, fair. I started. Rod's route is the most peaceful because it's the route in which the villains completely fail in their plans. Fair enough. I assume the only route in which both villains just total failure. Which, fair enough. Guess you gotta ramp that tension up by doing it in story order. Jurian, shocked. Alcaster? Waltz. No. Myth. Lucette. Who are we talking about? Waltz. You know him as Mithros. He uses a different name now. Lucette, thinking to herself. Sir Mithros? The king's advisor? He's a witch? Garland. There is no way Mithros is a witch. We would have known. Waltz. Glamour. He used a glamour. Everything Waltz says suddenly gets swallowed up in questions. Jurian and Garland ask question after question, while others start surrounding Waltz to ask him what has happened to the king and his children. I try to step closer to listen, but I cannot hear over the frantic voices in the room. Lucette, thinking to herself. Sir Mithros. I never trusted him, but I never thought he would be a witch. The room only quiets down when Delora and Parfait come to punctuate the conversation with their own demands for everyone to give Waltz space. The Marchand boarders are all taken into the reception room, where Waltz stands at attention, waiting to answer questions. Oh, fair. I star me. If Rod's route didn't reveal what Myth's plans were, it's because they wanted to save the surprise for another route. That makes sense, yeah. Like, I'm really glad that, I heard, I think partly from you, and I think I'd also looked it up somewhere, that this game has a story order, because story order is, I am glad to be playing this in story order, because I like how it kind of has been portioning out more details in every route. I think it's been really cool. He explains that he was looking into a rumor about Sir Mithros from only a few days ago, when he found out about the witches' uprising. Waltz. It was a surprise attack orchestrated by Mithros, who let the witches in through a secret entrance to the palace. Yep, I guessed right. Waltz continues. Alcaster was killed during the uprising. Many knights were injured and are currently being tended to in clinics and hospitals around the town. After his explanation, I feel even worse than I did in the main room. I stare at Waltz, at a loss. Lucette. What of Fritz? Waltz. Fritz? Lucette. Sir Alcaster's son. Fitzgerald. He was my personal knight. Lucette, thinking to herself. If Sir Alcaster was killed during the uprising, where did that put Fritz? Was he working with Sir Alcaster, or with Sir Mithros? Did he escape? Waltz. I'm sorry, Princess. I haven't heard anything about a knight named Fitzgerald. That's because he's probably Varg right now. In fact, we saw him as Varg. Lucette, thinking to herself. Was he killed? The thought makes my heart plummet. Lucette, thinking to herself. No, Fritz could not possibly be dead. I have to believe that he is still alive. I feel Chevalier's hand on my shoulder, briefly, before it slides off. Chevalier. Are any of the king's knights... wait, I want to do his voice, but his voice serious. Are any of the king's knights remaining in the palace? Waltz. If they are, then they've either been forced to turn against the king, or they've been killed. Delora. Is Mithros sitting on the throne? Waltz. No, he usurped the king, but he hasn't taken his throne. Waltz turns to me and his expression softens. Princess, feel free to ask me whatever you want. I'm sorry I didn't answer all your questions earlier. Lucette, thinking to herself. I have so many questions, but I suppose I will ask them one at a time. This isn't really a choice, but it's not a terrible place to save, so we're gonna get a bunch of info. What has happened to the let me actually go back. What has happened to the king and the others? Waltz. I'm not sure. From what I've heard, the king and his family, your family, are still alive. Lucette. Silence. Thinking to herself, I never cared for any of my stepfamily, but hearing that they are okay is still a relief. You know, if nothing else, she cares for her father, and she knows her father cares for her stepfamily. Waltz. Mithros may be keeping them prisoner for now. Lucette. What is the glamour that Sir Mithros used? Delora steps in to answer that question. Delora. A glamour is a high-level magic used to conceal one's identity. It keeps even other witches from sensing you. Delora cast the same magic on you shortly after you came to the tavern. It was to protect you from the evil witches. Lucette. Shocked. Hang on one sec. I am feeling slightly on the verge of being blood sugar crashy, and I do not want my blood sugar to crash, so I'm gonna chug a pineapple juice real quick. If I could get the can open. There we go. Delora. A glamour can only be conjured by the powerful witches. It sounds as if this witch has been using glamour to hide himself from others. Lucette. Do you know Mithros? Waltz. It was a long time ago. We both shared the same teacher. Lucette. Teacher? Wait. Waltz, are you a... Oh right, that got revealed in Karma's room, but not in this one yet. Waltz. A witch, yeah. He smiles at me, but it is weak and does not reach his eyes. Myth was always very competitive. I thought he had died at the end of the Great War, but he's been in the palace this whole time. His disguise is so simple. I should have realized his name was so similar, but... Delora. You couldn't have helped it. That's what the glamour does to you. Waltz. Maybe if I wasn't cursed, if I had more of my magic, I would have been able to sense him. Lucette. Who has claimed the crown? Waltz. As of right now, no one. I wonder if Waltz wants to put Lucette on the throne. And have her reign just like her mother did. Waltz. The king's been kicked off the throne, and Mithros has made a public announcement about usurping the throne, but he does not call himself king. Lucette. Is he trying to win the throne over for someone? Waltz. Myth has no one left. He was obsessed with our teacher, but she is gone. Oh, I bet Waltz's teacher was Lucette's mother. Oof. I can already see that'll be another fun angle on the many ways in which Waltz's route is going to be complex. Maybe he has different alliances now? Lucette. Silence. Parfait's eyes look distant as she stares dismally down at the ground. Waltz. If my curse were broken, I would charge in right now and destroy him. Waltz's expression becomes so dark it sends a shiver through me. It isn't like Waltz to look so angry. Lucette. We need to come up with a plan. Even if you weren't cursed, you would still not be able to defeat Mithros when he has other witches with him. Delora. Witches are trickier to handle. Karma. Can't just be plunged through with a sword, eh? Jurian. I agree with Karma. If all of us go in with swords and shields, we should be able to take the palace back. Garland. This is what we've been practicing for. Lucette. Thinking to herself. Practicing? Karma. Even witches will die if you stick a sword through their heart, won't they? Jurian. But getting to a witch who knows you're there is difficult. Lucette. I must do something. I'm gonna go with just straight up, I want to help. Chevalier wraps his fingers around my wrist and frowns. Chevalier. Princess. Lucette, thinking to herself. This whole time I have been living at the Marchen. I was spared the fate of the royal family by sheer coincidence because I was cursed. I cannot just sit here and do nothing while the kingdom falls to a witch. It fell to witches before, and there were dire consequences. I cannot continue to be passive. I will not let myself be like Mother. Chevalier. Princess, it's... Lucette. I am Lucette Riella Breton, the crown princess of Angiel, and I will not stand by and watch when the kingdom is in turmoil. The room goes quiet at my statements. Chevalier's fingers loosen on my hand. I can see a ghost of a smile on his face, though it underlies his sorrow. Chevalier. Spoken like a true princess. Yay, I'm glad that was the right choice. Delora. Whether or not you want to help Princess, you really can't. You won't be able to use magic until your 18th birthday. That's when you become the bearer. Lucette, thinking to herself. I cannot let that stop me. Out loud. I will find a way. The conversations in the room continue for a long while. At some point, it is said that volunteers are needed at the hospitals and clinics for the injured soldiers. Chevalier immediately volunteers. Only afterward does he look at me with regret. Chevalier. Princess, I'm sorry. Lucette. For what? For putting my job before you. And after all I just said, Lucette thinking to herself, he told me he was going to try his best to change. Bria called him selfless before for putting his work before her, but... Out loud, you would be a fool not to. Chevalier, shocked. Yeah, like, he does need to find balance, but I don't think that that applies here. And I'm glad Lucette also feels that way. It's like, this is literally an emergency situation. They need all hands. Like, it is okay to prioritize. I am a helping hand who is, like, extremely qualified to volunteer over, like, maybe being useful vaguely to help Lucette? Vaguely, maybe? So, like, I absolutely, yeah, no, I don't think this is him being selfless. I think this is him being sensible. And clearly so does Lucette. Chevalier, shocked. Lucette, my life is not in any danger, and there are people who need you more than I do. Do what you do best, Chevalier. That was so cute! Chevalier, Princess Lucette. Lucette, I promise you, I will do whatever I can to help you as well. As the meeting disbands, I am left standing there in quiet. The last to leave is Waltz, who promises me that he will make things right. Lucette thinking to herself, I am going to trust everyone, but I am also not going to stand idle. I will make things right, somehow. As is my responsibility as Crown Princess. Alright, oof, Chapter 9, The Witch Puppet. I don't like the sound of that. But I guess we'll find out next time. Oh, so I am not going to be streaming next week. So next week, the 13th, no stream for me. The 20th is a maybe? So I will be continuing with Chapter 9 either on the 20th or the 27th. I will post on, like, my Twitter and in, wherever else I can think of that people might be able to see if, once I make a call on the 20th, but 13th is definitely out, so. Just want to give people a heads up, because I know there's been a lot of times in the last couple months, where I've unexpectedly missed a week, so I'm trying to plan a little better. So, definitely no on the 13th. Maybe the 20th is a maybe, the 27th is a definite. So either we'll get Chapter 9 on the 20th and then end the route on the 27th, or push that back one day. 1 week, rather, not day. Right, so anyway, but I will be, so I'd say check back in on the 20th, and if I'm not here live doing this then check back on the 27th. So, and for normal streaming, I will be doing my usual weekend streams, some of my usual weekend streams. I will be doing my Friday afternoon NES stream, my Friday evening multiplayer stream, and maybe this Saturday we'll manage the Don't Starve group stream. We'll see. So, thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. Ice Starmie, Tapao, Pukara, I appreciate you all very, very much. Oh, also Captain Kiarda for lurking. Thank you all for hanging out and being here, and I will hopefully see folks again soon. Yeah. So, bye!